Hi, lovely families, and welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Dr. K. So today we're going to talk about traveling with infants and toddlers. But before we do that, I just want to have just a real talk moment with you. So these are my beginning YouTube days, and I cannot tell you how many times I have made an outline for this episode and other episodes and practiced reading and stumbled over my words. And so you know what I decided? I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna hold it. Just gonna hold it in my hand. And when I need to glance down at it, my outline here, I'm gonna do that. I promise you I will get better. I will find myself a teleprompter. I will practice more, but right now I really just want to get this information out to you, because when I start something new, I need a momentum. And if I don't start and I just want to be perfect all the time, it could be another 5 years before I get this or any other video out. So we are talking about traveling with infants and toddlers today. We're going to go over a few things. Number one, let's go over some car safety tips. So the number one thing I want you all to remember is when you are traveling with your infant or your toddler, whether you're going on a long distance trip or you're taking them to daycare or the grocery store, I need you to remove the heavy winter coats, okay? It's okay to do a sweatshirt or a thin jacket, but remove the heavy winter coats. And here's why. During an accident, the force from that accident can actually compress the fluff in that coat, making your child more susceptible to movement. So the straps are not pressing on your child. There's now a lot of free space, which can cause excess movement and damage your child, or it can cause your child to possibly be ejected from the car seat. So that's a big no-no. Now, listen. I understand. We gotta go. And I live in Minnesota and it's super cold. I get it. But we're gonna weigh the cost, right? We're gonna weigh the cost of taking that extra amount of time out to remove that jacket. I want you to bring your child to your chest, wrap them up in a blanket with that jacket in hand, or use the jacket as a blanket and walk to the car. You're gonna put the child in the car and then use that coat as a blanket cover. And you'll do the same thing when you get out. It's an extra step. It takes more time, but if we're weighing the cost, you're talking about preventing your child from getting injured and possibly saving their lives. So it's worth it. When your child is in a car seat, you want to make sure, number one, that you are following the recommendations from the manufacturer. So in most car seats, especially the ones with the 5-point restraint, you've got that horizontal strap. You want to make sure it's about where the armpits rest. Those shoulder straps, you don't want them so high up. You want to make sure that they're compressing on the shoulder. And each and every car ride, you can adjust those straps. In most car seats, right between the child's legs is a little button or lever that you can compress and pull the strap to actually tighten the car seat or to loosen it. So I recommend you guys trying that and just adjusting each and every time. In the car seats, we want to avoid any additional padding. So anything that the manufacturer did not recommend, any side pillows, any cushions, any headrests, those things you do not want to put in the car seat. I get it. I'm a doctor who is all about infant positioning. However, when it comes to car seat safety, I want you to do what the manufacturer suggests. So if your child is maybe like scrunched over a little bit, but they're restrained appropriately, that's okay. We'll talk about giving them breaks a little bit later on in this episode, but I want you to please remove anything from the car seat that has not been recommended or made by the car seat manufacturer. Because if it hasn't been made by the manufacturer, it has not been tested. So we just don't want to risk any injury to our little ones. Pit stops during long car rides. My recommendation, if you are traveling by car and let's say you're going 2, 3, 4 or more hours, take a break. I totally get it. When my husband and I were younger and we didn't have any kids, we're in our early 30s, we could drive 4 or 5 hours nonstop. No bathroom break, no food break, just let's go. Well, it doesn't work that way with children. They always need to stop. But that's actually not a bad thing. If you have an infant or a toddler who's sitting in the car seat, they need a chance to get out, to get some blood flow through their body, to stretch their legs, to move their head from side to side. Do remember that our car seats are flexible. They move, right? We can still twist and turn, but they can't. If they're properly restrained, they are restrained to the back of that seat. And about the most they can do is kick their free legs and turn their head from side to side. But it does make stretching and blood flow very difficult. So I would definitely say after 2 or 3 hours, give your little one a break. Take a pit stop. Now, when you take that pit stop, try to avoid the temptation of just taking the infant seat out of the car and putting it right into the stroller. I want that little one to have a chance to breathe and to stretch. I get it though. If we're going to a busy rest stop or a busy restaurant and you need to be able to keep up with your child, especially if you have other little ones you're keeping up with, do that, of course. But at some point during that rest stop, make sure your little one is able to come out of the car seat. I want you holding them upright, right? Or I want you doing some tummy time over your lap so that those high pressure point areas in our bodies, like the back of our head, our butt bones, our hips, that if they are compressed for long periods of time, can cause skin breakdown. I'm not thinking that this will happen to your child for a car ride. However, they are pressure sensitive areas and we want to give some pressure release to these areas. So now we're going to talk about air travel, how to keep up with your little ones in the airport. Let me be the first to tell you, that's not easy. I mean, it is stressful enough traveling and getting through TSA by yourself, let alone with one child, 2, or 4. I highly recommend you dressing your child in something bright, a bright red, an orange, a yellow. That way, especially if you have a toddler, it doesn't matter how well you train them and how well you tell them, Johnny, hold your brother's hand and don't move. Somebody always gets away. So what I want you to be able to do is quickly identify them if they have on something bright. I also highly recommend, or highly discourage actually, any identifiable clothing. So a sweatshirt with Mary's Gonna See Minnie Mouse or name tag. And then you've got these strangers calling Mary, grabbing her attention, and now we've got a child abduction. So I highly recommend no identifiable clothing in the airport. Take a picture of your child right before you get into the airport. God forbid your child go missing. I believe the last thing that is going to come to your mind is what they had on, especially if you've got more than one child. Understanding that you dressed 3 different children and you still don't have your shoes on because the TSA worker told you to take them off. The last thing I want you to have to do is try to recall what your child had on. I want you to take a picture of your child or your children right before you get to the airport. And that way you can quickly identify what they're wearing, their eye color, the most recent updated picture of them. And then that image can be broadcasted for others to find them. For my parents who have infants and maybe smaller toddlers, if you're comfortable and you can do it, I highly recommend wearing your child. That way you know where they are and your hands are free. So it just makes navigating and negotiating a hectic airport a lot easier. For air travel tips, I recommend a smaller, maybe travel size diaper bag. So not your main diaper bag, especially if you have a lot of other carry-on luggage or other children with carry-on luggage. If you use a smaller bag and maybe just put 2 to 3 diapers, half a pack of wipes, and a changing pad, that's all you need just to get your child changed quickly while in the airport. You can pack all of the main diaper supplies in your carry-on bag and deal with that on the airplane. So now, when we're on the airplane, I don't know how many of you have experienced this, but that air pressure change during takeoff and landing is never fun. We as adults can manage it a little bit better. We can drink water, we can chew gum. So it's that frequent swallowing that actually helps to stabilize that air pressure. what happens is when the cabin pressure changes, it conflicts with the pressure of our inner ear, and that causes that tension and that pain. So what I recommend is, or what is actually scientifically recommended, is frequent swallowing. And that's why we as adults, we chew gum and we're constantly swallowing the saliva. With your little one, you can offer a pacifier. You can offer a bottle during takeoff and landing. You can offer the breast for breastfeeding during takeoff and landing. If you have a toddler, you can offer a chewy food, a toddler safe chewy food like a granola bar or a breakfast bar. Entertainment for your little ones on an airplane. You can do a sticker book. If you get a pack of 100 stickers from the dollar store and then you give them tons of paper or a notebook and just let them go sticking, not obviously on the airplane or the seats, but applying stickers to books, that tends to keep them very occupied. Crayons, markers. You can do small puzzles that you keep in a Ziploc bag. Magnetiles seem to work really well for my little ones. So let me know in the comments below what travel tips you have. I'm still learning. These are just the ones that I've found the most helpful for me to date, traveling with 4 children, which is not easy, but we do it. I encourage you guys, get out, go see the world. Don't think that just because you have an infant, you have to stay in the house until they're a certain age. No, you go. Take that little one, you allow them to see the world. I'm so very proud of you guys and everything that you're doing. If you enjoyed any content that was spoken about today, please share with your friends, like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing all of you again on the next episode of Coffee with Dr. K. Take care.